What else we bro? Hey, you got many minds. You think about salvation, get the dance. My flesh vain, it's my heart not trouble, I will pain. We trust in Abba, he the one that kill your problems. We thinking Abba, now we know about that lava. The streets of gold, walking on that road, I can't sell my soul. Hell no, I'ma be the light everywhere I go. Ain't no vaccine up in the temple. The devil know that the most I dwelling in you. They trying to shoot you up, that should really offend you.
My cry for mercy as I call on you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your most holy place. I just wanna be worthy. I just wanna be
Shalawam, shalawam. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father, YAHAWAH, and his only begotten Son, our brother, friend, Hamashiach Yahushai. Shalawam, shalom, peace and blessings to all of the Ahchyam, the Ahchwathyam, brothers and sisters, scattered to the four corners of the earth. We say shalawam. Please do us a favor for the ministry. Hit that like button, subscribe, share. That way this message will go out and all the other messages will go out. As you can see, the title today, we'll be talking a little bit about the book of Enoch. I know that a lot of our brothers and sisters, the Ahchyam, do not really use or go into the book of Enoch, right? Do I encourage people to read the book of Enoch? I will say this is not for everyone. I would say that it's for those that feel that they're in the spirit and that they are learned and that they have the discernment of the Most High when they actually go through those scriptures, because things can be taken out of proportion. And if you don't have that spiritual understanding, of course, this is why we have the issue with it today. That they said that angels, laid down with women and they produced children, which are the Nephilims, and so forth and so forth. People that know about the book of Enoch have went into great detail, great breakdowns. So this is what we'll be talking about today, right? This is what we'll be going over. As we go into it a little bit, Shalawam, Ahchwathyam, the water for being here. All praises be to the Father, YAHAWAH, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. If I can, before we get started, or as we get started, I should say, I want to go into a scripture. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat. You can always email me too. But I want to read something real quick from the book of Baruch, chapter 3. Baruch, chapter 3. Let's go there. And I'll be reading out of the 1611 King James Bible. If you don't have your 1611 King James Bible, I would encourage you to get you one. This is the issue at hand, because we don't have all this information. And when we lack information, the knowledge and wisdom that we think we have, we may not truly have, and we may be in ignorance because we don't have all of the information. Not to say that I have all the information, but I'm saying there's a lot of information out there. Anyway, this is the book of Baruch, chapter 3, and I'm going to be starting at verse, let me see. I'll start at verse 8. And it's a lot, right? But I'm going to start here. It says in verse 8, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us." That's why I say shalom, shalom, peace and blessings to all of the Ahchyam brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? But for somebody who has never read the book of Baruch, they don't know this information, right? where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh or Allah. So our fathers, we know, departed from the ways of the Most High. You know, just as I wasn't raised with the ways of the Most High because my father wasn't raised. Well, he was taught the ways of the Most High, but he chose to go off another path, right? Verse 9, hear Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. As I've been doing all of these lessons for the past few Shabbats, throughout the weekdays, those that have an ear, please hear, hearken, right? Take heed. Verse 10, how happened it to Israel that thou art thine enemies, are in thy enemies' land, that thou art waxing old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead. Let me put it up, son. That thou art counted with them that go down to the grave, that has forsaken the foundation, or Salakia, the fountain of wisdom. So where does the wisdom come from? Where's the fountain of wisdom? We know about the living water and things like that. But what is the fountain of wisdom? Who does it come from? It comes from the Father of lights, right? The Ancient of Days, the giver of life, the taker of life. All these things come from the Most High. Now, is wisdom a spirit? Yes, it is. For those who may not know, wisdom is actually a malak. In the English, you would say it's an angel, right? But it's a malak. So wisdom is a malak, you know. The Holy Quadash, or the Quadash Rakah, is a malak. You know, we have all these different malaks that have duties or jobs, tasks that were given to them. Verse 13, for if thou hast walked in the way of the Most High, thou shouldest have dwelt in peace forever. So as long as we walk in the ways of the Most High, we will be dwelling in peace. Learn where is wisdom, where is strength, where is understanding, that thou mayest know also where lieth or the length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace, who have found out her place, or who have come into her treasures. Verse 16, whereas the princes of the heathen become, and such as rule the beast upon the earth. They that had their pastimes with the fowls of the air, and they that hoarded up the silver and gold, wherein man trust, and made no end of their getting. This is why people chase the money the way they chased it today, right? This is what it's speaking about. And this is nothing new. They're hoarding money, gold, silver, jewelry, diamonds, you know, for what? They're going to die, and they're going to get passed to somebody else. You can't take anything with you. Verse 18, for they that wrought silver and were so careful, and whose works are unsearchable, they are vanished and gone down to the grave, and others are come up in their steads. Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, but the way of knowledge have they not known. People look at the sun every day. People look at the moon every day, right? They go all the way out to the beaches, all the way out to everywhere to go watch the sun set, but had no idea what that sun really represents and the light that is giving off, or the light that it is, the representation behind it. That's why the Bible calls us children of what? The day, not children of the night. But you have a world where people live in, and they go, I'm not going to say worship the sun, but they look at it in awe, but don't know the meaning behind it. This is why it's saying this. Young men have seen light and dwelt upon the earth, billions of people, but the way of knowledge have they not known. Verse 21. And this is why I'm getting into like the Enoch, that it's not for everybody, because that way of knowledge, a lot of people don't have it. And then somebody that doesn't have that knowledge from the Most High, they go and read that, and then they all confused, disbobulated, right? Nor understood the past thereof, nor lay hold of it. Their children were far off from the way. It have not been heard in Canaan, neither been seen in Thinman or Thaman, the men, the Hagarenes that seek wisdom upon the earth, the merchants, the marines, that means the authorities, the authors and of fables, and searchers out of understanding. None of these have known the way of wisdom or remember her paths. O Israel, how great is the house of the Most High? How large is the place of his possession? It's speaking about where the Most High dwells at now. See, most people think that the Most High just dwells in one particular space with everybody, but that's not true. There are different levels. There are different Shemayams, which you would say in English, heavens. As when in Genesis, when it was talking about the firmaments. So the lowest malak, or the lowest angel, cannot just go up to the Most High where he dwells and just kind of walk in. Just as well as if you were an employee of $1 billion company and you were just a janitor. Can you just, not unless you was cleaning his office, but you just can't go and walk into the CEO office and just start having a conversation with him. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. You way at the first floor. The CEO is at the top floor, and it's the same thing for the Most High. Everybody has tasks, jobs, and I'm going to show you that in the scriptures. Let's keep going. Verse 25, great and have no end, high and unmeasurable, speaking about the Most High and where he dwells. There were giants famous from the beginning, talking about the Nephilims, right? But not as people think of how the Edomites portray it today. 300 feet tall, 400 feet wide. No. And if they were so great, why wasn't they the chosen people? If they were giants and they were so great. But as it says in verse 26, it says, there were giants famous from the beginning. They were of so great stature and so expert in war. So they had one good attribute, is that they were great and they were experts at war. The Nephilims, the giants. Verse 27 says, those did not Yahawah chose. The Most High didn't choose them people. Even though they were great in stature, even though they were experts in war, all these things. And I know in the book of Enoch, people believe that the angels had sex with women, and this is what produced the Nephilim. But notice right here is telling you about the giants. We're reading about the Nephilim, but it says the Most High Yahawah did not choose them. It says, neither gave he the way of knowledge unto them, meaning those individuals had no knowledge. So if you don't have any knowledge, the Bible will say that you're a fool. You don't have any discernment. You'll do anything. You'll go for anything. So those are the ways of the Nephilim. Evil, basically, because they didn't have the knowledge of the Most High. Verse 28. But they were destroyed because they had no wisdom. The Nephilims. These people that, that they say the angels slept with the women. It says, but they were destroyed because they had no wisdom and perished through their own foolishness, who have gone up into the Shemayim and taken her and brought her down from the clouds, who have gone over the sea and found her and will bring her for pure gold. No man knoweth her way, nor thinketh of her path. But he that knoweth all things knoweth her, talking about the Most High Yahawah, and have found her out with his understanding. He that prepared the earth forevermore hath filled it with the four-footed beast. He that sendeth forth light, that's why he's called the father of lights, because he sends forth the light, right? And it goeth, just like we had a sun out right now, wherever you are, if you in the United States somewhere, you had a sun out right now. The Most High Yahawah sent forth that light and calleth it again, and it obeyeth him with fear. The stars shine in their watches and rejoice when he calleth them. They say, here we be. Talking about the stars. And some of these same things that are being spoken about are spoken about also in the book of Enoch. It kind of goes into a little bit more of a greater detail of how he created these things and how they praise him, how they sing to him. Metaphor, though. They're just not up there really singing, but by shining bright, because he is the father of lights, they're giving glory and praise to the Most High Yahawah. That's why it says the stars shine in their watches and rejoice. When he calleth them, they say, here we be. And so with the cheerfulness, they shew light unto him that made them. See, by them showing that light gleaming, they're giving him honor and glory, praising him. This is our power. And there shall none other be accounted of comparison of him. Talking about the Most High. Verse 36. We still in the book of Baruch, chapter 3. He hath found out all the way of knowledge and have given it. Who did he give it to? It says, and have given it unto Jacob, his servant, and to Israel, his beloved. So unless you're really dealing with somebody from Israel that's in this Rakah, in the spirit, this is who it was given to. Knowledge, wisdom. It was only given to Jacob, Israel. So this is why it's an issue when other people, which they have done, have went and read these books, went into these books, and then they come up with all of these different outcomes. One, because they're not Jacob. Two, it was never given to them. And three, they're not in the spirit. Or you can vice versa and break it down 1, 2, 3. Verse 37. Afterward did he show himself upon the earth and converse with man. He conversed with man after he showed himself upon the earth. Even going into when he spoke to him face to face. Now let's just click over right here and go to chapter 4. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4. Verse 1. It says, this is the book of the commandments. With all I just read, the knowledge, wisdom was given to who? Jacob, Israel. It says, this is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endured forever. All they that keep it shall come to life. So this is how you receive life. So who was life given to? Life was given to Jacob in Israel. Everybody else outside of that it was not given to, they receive what? It'll tell you right here. But such as leave it shall die. So if you don't have it, you will perish. You will die. And even the ones that it was given to, if they don't take hold of it, if those Israelites don't take hold of it, they will also perish and die. Verse 2, it says, turn thee, O Jacob. Who is he speaking to? Jacob. And take hold of it. Grab it. Don't let it go. Hold on to it like it's life and death. This is life and death, really. It says, walk in the presence of the light thereof. That's why he's called the Father of lights. And we have to walk in what? The light is telling us to walk in the light, the presence of the light, that thou may be illuminated. Why and how can you be illuminated? Why? Because you were put here on the earth for that particular reason. Two, because you are an Elohim, a malach. In the English, you would say an angel. But you yourself here on earth are a malach. And when you walk in the way of the light, then the Most High illuminates you, just like when Moses went into the Most High and he was speaking to the Most High. When he came out, he was illuminated so much that he had to cover his face. That glory, that light from the Most High, it rubs off on you, and then you are illuminated. People can see that shine. People can see that difference. People can see that peace, that glow, that glory, that, because there's something different in the world, in the earth. You're not the same as everybody else. It says, give not thy honor unto another. So this is not supposed to be given to everybody. This is why I say some people, for those who feel like they're learned, I say it very simple. For those who feel like they're learned, read it. If you just in the beginning stages, read the 66 first. Read the 66, get that down, and then move on. Nor the things that are Salakia, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange people. And we know those people took the book and did what they wanted to do. And this is why we have a lot of our people confused. Not saying there's anything wrong with the book. I'm saying people have taken the book and came up with their own understanding, which are misleading the people. But there is a lot of great information within that book. And as I'm saying, how it goes into the stars, wisdom, all these things that we're reading today, a lot of people don't have that understanding right now that there are different levels, that the Malaks do have different tasks, duties, jobs. It says in verse 4, O Israel, Yasharallah, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to the Most High are made known to us. They only made known to who? Israel, because it says, O Israel. So in order to please the Most High, it says, O Israel, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to the Most High made known to us. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. So let me stop sharing this. And then we also have I believe Danyala, Bishop Barak. I got his phone, driving. We tuned in. All praises to the Most High Yahawah. The water for tuning in. All praises to the Most High. So as we go from there, let's go to Genesis 6, right? Let's go to Genesis 6 real quick. After I just read all of that, speaking about the stars, speaking about the moon, speaking about the sun, speaking about where wisdom, knowledge come from, who it was given to, all these things, right? And here's one of the big problems with Enoch when people go to it. The corruption of mankind as it goes into Genesis 6:1, right? And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of man, that they were fair, meaning beautiful, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Right after that, the Most High has a problem with the sons of the Most High, right? He has a problem with these men taking the daughters of man. And then people read the book of Enoch and then they say, okay, well, I read in there that the angels came and they laid down with the women. And yeah, this wraps up with Genesis 6. But one thing we see here in verse 3, it says, and Yahawah said, my Rakah shall not always strive with man. So he has a problem with it. And how do we know that where it says sons of the Most High? We know that it's not talking about actual, as you would call, angels. It's talking about Malaks, which are the man here on earth. It's talking about the Malaks. How do we know this? Because in verse 3, he lets us know. And Yahawah said, my Rakah shall not always strive with who? It says it right here. Man. He's upset with who? Man. For that he is also, Salakia, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Then it goes on to talk about in verse 4 that there were giants in the earth those days. And also after that, when the sons of the Most High came into the daughters of man, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old and men of renown. Now, when you speak about the sons of the Most High and what it's talking about and what these things produce, who was a mighty man way back in the beginning of the Bible? A very mighty man that still kind of lingers, not kind of, does linger this day. For those that are here and listening and may watch it at a later time, I'm speaking about who? We still talking about him today. We always talking about Babylon. We talking about Babel. Who we talking about? Nimrod. He was a mighty man, a mighty man of war. But he was totally against who? The Most High. He was totally against the Most High. See, these sons of the Most High right here, they were not supposed to be with the daughters of man. Just like we today in 2026 as Malaks are not supposed to be with the daughters of man. Who are the daughters of man? The daughters of Cain. If you did not know that. The daughters of man are the daughters of Cain. And they were not supposed to mix with those women. Just as well that we were told all throughout the Bible. Let me get that and we'll come back to Genesis real quick. Let me go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. This is what's in the Bible. So, you know, people get mad, but this is what was said, right? Let me see where it's at. Okay, I started 2, right? He's speaking about all these people up here, right? The Hittite, the Girgashite, the Amorites, the Canaanite, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. Verse 2, and when YAHAWAH thy Allah shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Verse 3, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Well, we all believe as Israelites, in order to be married, to consummate the marriage, to want to be married, is to lay down with that woman, right? So we're being told here in the book of the law, the Torah, that is certain individuals, is certain women in the world that we live in that you cannot make marriages with or lay down with as sons of the Most High. As sons of the Most High, you cannot lay down with certain women. This is what it's telling you. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So you can't even take one of their sons. You can't even take none of that. The sons of the Most High are over here. Those other people are on the outskirts, and you cannot deal with them. The sons of the Most High cannot go over there and marry those women. Isn't that why he was so mad with Solomon? He told him, do not go after those women. Why? Because they will turn your heart from me, from serving me. And they did. He started to worship what? Other deities. So this is why when you go back to Genesis, I'll read verse 4. Hold on. For they will turn away thy son from following me. This is what happened in Genesis. The sons of the Most High, those Malaks, they went and got with the daughters of Cain. So I make it simple for you. Those evil women that were not Qadash women, as we would say, like Susanna, and all of the other women that we read about, Esther, Judith, that Proverbs 30, all those other type of women that we read about in the scriptures, they wasn't those women. They was more like a Jezebel, right? Cain, the daughters of Cain. It says, for they will turn away thy son from following me, and Salakia, that they may serve other deities. So will the anger of Yahawah be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Isn't that what happened in Genesis 6? Let's go back to it. That's the same thing that happened right here. The sons of the Most High saw the daughters of who? Cain. Of course, it says man, but we know that it's the daughters of Cain, that they were fair. They were beautiful, just like they are today. All those women that's out there on social media taking pictures and beautiful, but they're daughters of Cain. This is what we have to understand. How do we know this? Well, in the Bible, it tells us that a woman's beauty is what? Following the Most High. When you see a woman, that's why the Bible tells you, don't look at the beauty of a woman. Run, get away. Don't look. Don't dwell on. Why? Because those things lure you in. Proverbs 7, to keep you from the eye of who? That woman. It's like the Bible says like a honeycomb. Anyway, not to prolong it, let's move forward. So Genesis 2, the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of Cain, basically, and they went with them. And the Most High was mad. And this is why he said this in verse 3, that listen, my rakah, my spirit, it's not always going to strive with men, because this is what they're going to be doing. Just like they doing right, as they were doing it back then in Genesis 2, they're doing it right now. Right? You might say, well, no, the Ahchyam, they be on point. No, you have Ahchyam. We have seen it clear today. You have Ahchyam that are in the truth, walking in the spirit, but still messing with who? The daughters of Cain. Anytime a man that's in the truth, walking in the truth, can say he can go and just deal with a harlot and it ain't a problem, it's a problem. Because when a woman is dealing in that type of thing, if she's a harlot, it's a rakah on her, evil rakah, evil spirit on her. Which the demons, just like Mary had to get delivered, said she had 7 demons. She was a prostitute. She was a harlot. Unless you're trying to bring her out, unless you're trying to, really help her, as Hamashiach Yahawashi was, but to go deal with her and get services, no, a man of the Most High don't walk like that. Matter of fact, let me show you something real quick. Let me see. What book is that? Is that 1 Corinthians or Romans? Let me see real quick. Let me see something. This is what Paul said in 1 Corinthians, right? 1 Corinthians 1:7. It says, now concerning things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So Paul is writing to other fellow Israelites in Corinth, telling them that it's good for a man not to touch a woman. See, this is why I say when you read other things and you go into other things, like I say, it's not for everybody. The water Ahchwathyam, she said, calm. All praises. This is why it's good to read and study, as I say, because when we read other things, it tells us how Adam laid down with Eve, right? And in so something came over him. And when you read and you do study, we have something in our mind, just like you can Google this yourself. We have a reptilian, animalistic kind of brain within us. And it's something that releases not only when you're around women, But when you go into a woman, and this is why so many men lose their life behind women, because it's something that overtakes you, you know. So when you read, like I say, other things, it lets us know that when Adam first lay with Eve, you know, after that, this kind of evil came over him and he separated himself from Eve because he didn't want this thing to overtake him, you know, because he felt like this thing it had control over him. And we see it today, you know, men kill their significant other or their girlfriend or their wife, and they kill her, murder her. For what? Because she didn't want to be with him anymore? Because she wanted a separation? Well, the Bible says you can separate as long as you don't go be with nobody else. But if, you know, he was doing wrong and he, you know, got caught with somebody else, or it just depends on the circumstances and the situation. But make a long story short, Paul is writing right here, 1 Corinthians 7:1. It is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication. So if you can't contain yourself, have temperance, have self-control within yourself, within your body, and you can't control yourself, like YAHAWAH said, is not given to all men. Right? Some men can be a eunuch on the earth. Some men have to cut their part, some men don't. But like YAHAWAH said, it's not given unto all men. Paul is kind of going into this here. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. This is why he's going into this. But it would be better. If you read this whole thing, it kind of goes into it. It would be better for you to just serve the Most High. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Let me see. Let me just see. I just want to see if I can show you. Let me see. Trying to see. Bear with me, Salakia. It said right here, verse 33, this is 1 Corinthians 7:33. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world. This is why it's telling you. See, when you get married, Paul is going into a whole type of spiritual thing. That's why I'm saying Paul was on a whole nother level, that when you get married, and he telling you, you start to care for the things of the world. How to what? Please my wife. Or maybe I need to take her out. Maybe I need to take her to eat. Maybe she's tired of being at home. Maybe we need to take a walk on the beach. Maybe we need to, you thinking about ways to please her instead of ways to please the Most High, and vice versa. Vice versa for the for woman and man. Verse 34 said, there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of who? The Most High Yahweh, that she may be Quadash, both in body and in the Rakah. But she that is married care for the things of the world, how she may please who? Her husband. Her husband. See, she more concerned about her husband than what about the things for the Most High. But if you didn't have that, you could just be solely focused on who? The Most High. And this I spake or speak for you on profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the master, or with the Most High Yahweh, without discretion. Right? So, like I say, I'm not going to read this whole thing because it starts to go into other things. Like I say, it keeps showing up. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth even or doeth better. You know, and a lot of people ain't really ready to sign up for this. Verse 39, the wife is bound by law as long as her husband liveth, But if her husband be dead, she at liberty, meaning freedom, to be married to whom she will. Only in who? The Most High Yahawah. Only in the Most High Yahawah. But she is happier if she, listen what it say, so abide after my judgment. I think also that I have the rakah of the Most High. So basically he's saying, if you would listen to me and go up to verse 1 and just stay by yourself, as it said, he telling men it is good for you not to touch a woman, and women don't touch no man. Just give your life to the Most High, focus on the Most High, live your life for the Most High as we are commanded to do. But like Hamashiach Yahushua said, not everybody can do this. And Paul saying it too. Nevertheless, meaning like if you can't control your hormones to avoid living in sin, basically, because that's what it's saying, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and let every woman have her own husband. But if you can walk through this world and not have no woman or not have no man and just serve the Most High, Paul said, do that. Do that. That is better. But, it's not given to everybody. So when we go back to Genesis, when we think about that, the Most High was upset. This is why he said this in verse 3. And Yahweh said, my rakah shall not always strive with man. Why? Because they was messing with the daughters of Cain. They wasn't sleeping with no celestial beings. People, if that's the case, let me ask you a question as we move forward. Let me ask you a question. If that's the case, when we resurrect, are we going to be having children? Because then they asked Yahweh that question, well, whose wife she going to be? She had all 7 brothers. He said, you do error not knowing the scriptures. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You resurrected. They're not going to be having sex. He said they will be like the who? The Malaks, the angels. That's what he said. That they will be like the Malaks. They will not be having sex. Don't you know? First of all, sex is an unclean act. That's why in the Bible, it tells you when you have sex and you release those things that you're unclean. To the evening, you're unclean. So it's an unclean act. It's something that makes you unclean for a period of time. That's why I tell you to wash yourself, wash all of that stuff off of you, bathe yourself, wash your clothes, wash your sheets, get all that stuff off because it's unclean. Anyway, let me continue on. So people say a lot of things, but I do want to show that there are different Shemayams. But this is why I tell people this. Let me go to this real quick. 1 Thessalonians. This is not going to be a long video. If you want me to do some more inside something particular, let me know, and I'll break that down through the Spirit if I'm willing to. I mean, if I have the knowledge to, through the Spirit, through the Rakah, then I will. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse, let me see. It's talking about conduct and things like that. I'm going to go with 18, 5 and 18. And everything give thanks, the water. But this is the will of the Most High and Hamashiach Yahushua concerning you. Quench not the Rakah. Don't quench it. Don't put that fire out. Keep burning bright, right? Like I said earlier, be illuminated. Take hold of it. Despise not the prophesying, right? The prophecies is out there. Don't hate it. It says, prove all things, hold fast. Listen, hold fast that which is good. So meaning it's going to be some things that come across your desk, that come across your mind, that come across, but it's not telling you to hold on to everything. It says prove all things. So what you can, when you read something, your foundation is the 66, right? Or for those who got the 1611, you're 8. So prove all that. You got that. So when you go into other things, if it don't line up with the foundation, right? If it don't line up with the foundation that you have already, then you cast it to the side. But that doesn't mean that a book may not have some knowledgeable things in it. Now, am I saying that you cast the book of Enoch off to the side? Not at all. What I'm saying is the people that got a hold of it and broke it down in the way that they put it in there is not true. That's what I'm saying. Angels, celestial beings did not have sex with women, right? And you would have to prove that they did. But we can prove that the Most High, through the scriptures, showed us that Malaks or angels or celestial beings, as you want to call it, are not the same as man. Not at all. And when it's talking about the sons of the Most High, or when you see the sons of God, it's speaking about who? It's speaking about Israel. Well, Israel didn't come until later, but he's talking about the man that served the Most High. Just like in the book of Job. Let me get that real quick. Let me get that. Job chapter 1. And then we'll move forward. Job chapter 1. It said, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And the man was perfect and upright, and one that feared the Most High and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons, 3 daughters. His substance was 7,000 sheep. Is going into all that. Let me just jump down right here. First of all, right here in verse 5 is talking about what? Feasting, right? Feasting. So they letting you know that they were keeping what? The feast days. We already know that he was following the Most High, giving honor and glory to the Most High, all those things. And he was feasting, right? Him and his family. So he had 7 sons, 3 daughters, right? Let me see. So right here, it says in verse 6, now there was a day when the sons, right here again, the sons of the Most High came and presented themselves before Yahawah. Now people are going to say, these are angels, celestial beings. But that's not the case. Let's click on this. I'm going to show you that it's not the case. Because when you, this is why it's important to go into this. Right here when it said the sons of the Most High, right? For those who already know, you already seen it. If you look at the Hebrew, right? It's the Hebrew 11:21. And it says what? We don't use the E because we don't, believe in, those vowel systems. So it would be B-A-N. What does that mean? Son, grandson, child, member. A son in the widest sense. So you literally actually a son, right? Of who? The Most High. You're literally actually a son of the Most High. To present themselves before Yahawah. And Satan came also. Now, when it says Satan came, Satan is always there with the sons of the Most High. He's always present. That's why he's our what? Accuser. He is our accuser. And that's why the Most High said, where you going? He said, going to and fro within the earth, walking up and down. But people get confused and they say these were angels that came. No, these were the sons of the Most High. It tells you right here in verse 1, Salakia. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job that was perfect and upright. And then it goes on to tell you how high of a statue he was. If you read all these, thousands of camels, 100 yoke of oxen. But then it says that they were feasting, and his sons went and feasted in their houses, everyone his own day. How many sons did he have? 7. So if they was in a feast and every son had a feast at his house, every one each day, that was 7 days. Do not we keep feasts for 7 days? And Satan called their 3 sisters to eat and drink. And it was so, when the days of the feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. So it's telling you what Job was doing. He was serving the Most High. And then it goes into verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came and presented themselves before Yahweh. Are not we commanded that we have to present ourselves before the Most High Yahweh? Let me get this real quick, and then we'll go on to the angel thing real quick. What's that? Deuteronomy chapter 16, I think it is. Let me see. Hold on, Salakia. Bear with me. Let me see. Right here, Deuteronomy 16:16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males, who? Males, all the men shall appear before Yahweh thy Allah in the place which he shall choose. In the feast of what? Unleavened bread, in the feast of weeks, in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before Yahweh empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessings of Yahweh thy Allah, which he have given thee. So we're commanded that we have to appear. You have to appear. And if they were in a feast and they were feasting for 7 days, if you read these things, well, they had to appear before the Most High. They're commanded to appear before the Most High. But like I say, it's a lot of things, you know. I just wanted to touch on a few things. Now, let's stop here and let's go to Tobit real quick, the book of Tobit. I'm going to go to 2 more places real quick. Let's go to the book of Tobit, chapter 12. For those that have their Bible, which you're reading along. Tobit 12. And I'm going to jump down to verse 15. This is the book of Tobit, chapter 12, verse right here. I'm going to go right to the meat of it. For those who have never read the book of Tobit, I encourage you to go back, start from chapter 1. For those who have read it, all praises be to the Father Yahweh. Here we go. We already know this is Raphael, a Malach, an angel. He's going to say it right here. I am Raphael, one of the 7 Kodash Malachs, which present the prayers of saints and which go in and out before the glory of the Kodash one. So Raphael is letting you know he is one out of those 7 Kodash Malachs. So it's 7 of them. He one out of them. Now he's giving you his tasks, his duties, his job, which present the prayers of the saints, right? The Kodash ones. That's what he does. He takes the prayers and he goes in and out. He says it right here, which go in and out before the glory of the Kodash one. That's what he does. So he's able to go up to the Shemayim where the Most High is dwelling. Not all Malachs can go up there. Now, is there just one Shemayim? No, there are multiple Shemayims or multiple heavens. And those different celestial beings do dwell in different realms because each one has different tasks. Just like you have a Malach that's over you. You have a Malach that's over you. You have a Malach that is writing things down, everything that come out your mouth, everything that's going on, everything you did that day, everything is being documented. You can read about that in Matthew 12. For every idle word that I say, you won't have to give an account for. That's why it says the books were open. The books is what hold all the things that you did within your life that the Malach tell you. It goes into that in the book of Ezra, chapter 16. I don't have time because I got to get to the plantation. I don't have time to break all and go into all that. But like I said, if you need me to, I will. But read the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. Started like, read it all, please. But if you want to get to the meat of it, start at like 55 and read down. But read the whole chapter. But anyway, it says, I am Raphael, one of the 7 Kodash Malaks, which present the prayers of the saints, which go in and out before the glory of the Most High, right? The Kodash one. Then they were both troubled. Now they were scared because they're like, man, we dealing with a Malak. They didn't know he was a Malak. They thought he was a regular person. All this time he was traveling with him, and fell upon their faces, for they feared. They didn't fear before he said this. He looked like a regular individual, just like me and you. It said, verse 17, but he said unto them, fear not, for it shall go well with you. Praise the Most High, therefore. Verse 18, for not of any favor of mine, but by the will of our Allah I came, wherefore praise him forever. Then he goes on to tell you, all these days I did appear unto you, but I did neither eat nor drink, but ye did see a vision. So he said, all this time I've been with you, but I didn't really eat and I didn't really drink. You saw a vision, meaning you think I was doing those things. You thought I was, but I wasn't really. It says right here in verse 20, now therefore give the Most High thanks, for I go up to him that sent me, but write all these things which are done in a book. All praises be to the Father Yahawah. This is why we're reading this right now. And I just wanted to show that, yeah, there are different tasks for Malaks, and this is just one. There's many more. There's many more. Let me show about the heavens real quick. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. I hope you can see that. I forgot I left the thing up. Let's go to 2 Corinthians real quick. Chapter 12, I believe I'm going to go to. 2 Corinthians. Chapter 12. Once again, this is Paul in his vision. 2 Corinthians 12, right? I'm going to do both. King James and comparative text, do living, right? It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Adawan. I knew a man in Hamashiach above 14 years ago, whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. The Most High knoweth. Such a one caught up to, what does it say right here? To the third Shemayim, or the third heaven. So Paul knew that there were multitudes of different levels of the Shemayim or heaven. Yes, there are. There are. So if one maybe thought that there was just one, like a lot of people think it's just one gate, that's not true. Now, I'm not going to say, I know in the book of Enoch it says 10, but I can't say with the certainty that it's only 10. It could be 12, just like it's 12 foundations, just like it's 12 gates. I don't know. I can only go off of what we have that's being left for us for our knowledge. But we do know that there's a multitude of Shemayims where the celestial beings dwell. And not every celestial being has the same authority nor power as other ones. Right? You have some celestial beings that only dwell with the Most High. You read about that in Isaiah when he had his vision with the Malaks or the seraphims that fly around with the wings. 2 to cover their mouth, 2 to do this, and then they praise the Most High. Kodash, Kodash, Kodash. They never leave from up there. They don't go down unless sent by the Most High, I guess, But that's where they stay at. That's their dwelling place. So yes, there are different and multitude of heavens. Such a one caught up to the third heaven. And then he says, and I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. Only the Most High knows. What he's saying is when you go through some type of experience, for example, I will share testimony. I went through experience years ago when something came over me and I spoke, and I know now that it's tongues. I spoke in another language, didn't know what I was saying, didn't know how I was saying it, but had no control over what was being uttered. Now, it scared me, but in the same time that it scared me, I didn't know if it was really real or like it wasn't real. Was like I tripping? Like what happened? Like was I in the body? You know, was I out? Like you don't know. So I understand and I can feel where Paul is coming from because I've been through something like that. Now, at that time that it happened, I didn't have the understanding. But later on, when through reading, I found out that if you speak in the tongue, as the Bible say in the book of Corinthians, if you speak in tongue, right, in another language, and there's no interpreter to interpret what you said, that conversation that was had, as the Bible says, was between the Rakah, which is your spirit in the inside, and the Most High. That's who it was between. So basically, that was my Rakah, my spirit in the inside of me, talking or pleading or whatever was being said to the Most High. And it wasn't to be interpreted or, it wasn't for me, the person I was, to know what was being said. But at that time, I didn't have no understanding, just scared the daylights out of me. I was really shook. In verse 4, it says, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Now, for those that have read, if you read, what book was that I read? I believe I want to say, not Barnabas. I believe it was the book of Pilate. Man, I don't think it was Barnabas. I'll get back to you on it, but it was a book that I read. And hold on, give me 1 second. I'm trying to think. What was the name of that book? Give me 1 second. Oh man, I believe it's the book of Barnabas, but it says when they rose out of the graves and they were speaking to the men that were looking for them, because they, in this book they went looking because these men were out of their graves and they wanted to know, how did you resurrect, and what were all these things that happened. It's a comment in there that was stated, and it says, these things that we're speaking are not lawful for us to speak, but we had to ask permission. And the Most High granted us permission on some things that we could speak to you. So there are things that are hid from us that are not lawful for us to know, And this is why the Bible says that we don't know everything. It's like us looking through a glass that's cloudy or hazy or, kind of dark. You can't see everything. It's not focused. Like if you had a vision, it's not focused. You can't see everything, and neither will we know everything. But for the knowledge that we do have, this is why it's important to have your foundation in the scriptures. Let me get another one if I get ready to close out real quick. Right. And this is the book of John, chapter 1, real quick. It says, Revelation chapter 1, the revelation of YAHAWAH Mashiach, which Allah gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his malak unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of the Most High and of the testimony of YAHAWAH Mashiach and of all things that he saw. Barak is he that readeth, right? Barak right here means to be exalted, That's what the word Barak means. It means to be exalted or to kneel, right? And it says, he that readeth. So if you read this, it will elevate your what? Knowledge and wisdom, and understanding. It will put you on a higher level. You have some people that are scared to read the book of Revelation because of what's in there. And they just don't want to know. So those people are not going to be what? Blessed. It says, and they that hear the words of this prophecy. So this is a prophecy. And keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. John to the seven churches which are at Asia, grace be unto you and peace from him which is, and which was, and which is to come, and from the seven rakahs which are before his throne. So he's telling you that there are seven rakahs, seven spirits before his throne. We read in the book of Tobit 12, right, that Raphael said he's one of those seven what? Malaks that go in and out of the Most High, of the Quadash one. Right here in Revelation, we're reading about what? Seven rakahs, seven spirits, which are before his throne, which are before the Most High, Yahweh. And from Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his blood, of his own blood, Salakia, and have made us kings and priests unto the Most High and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. This is why I keep trying to tell you, those sons of man that we read about in the Bible, they are kings and priests, right? Matter of fact, you are a king and a priest right now. If you're an Israelite, you walking in the path and the way, and you want to be illuminated, you are that right now. You may not understand it and know it, but you are that, right? Then it goes on to tell you, behold, he coming with clouds, every eye shall see him, and they also which pierce him, and all kindreds of the earth shall well because of him. Even so, APBTTMH. And then he goes on to say he is the Alpha and Omega, which is really not true. That's Greek, right? He is the Aleph, right? Or the Ah and the Tha in the Hebrew, or the first and the last. So I don't even subscribe to that because that's Greek. So he is the Ah and the Tha, which is the first and the last. And Hamashiach Yahawashi didn't say this. For those who don't know, the Most High Yahweh said this. He is just reiterating what the Most High said, that he is the first and the last, the beginning and the end, saith the Most High Yahweh, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty, right? The Shaddai, the Allah, or the Allah Shaddai, right? I, John, was also am your brother and companion in the tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Yahweh Shai Mashiach was in the owl. So he's talking about where he is, basically, right? He was in Patmos for the word of the Most High and for the testimony of Yahweh Shai Mashiach. That's why he got put there. I was what? In the spirit. That's what he says on Yahweh's day. When is Yahweh's day? Shouldn't we say, or we should know, it's the Sabbath day. That's his day. Every day is really his day, but he gave a certain particular day for us to rest and glorify him, which is the Sabbath day. It says, I was in the spirit, the Rakah, on Yahweh's day. I heard behind me a great voice as if a trumpet saying, I am the Ah and the Tha are the first and last. As it says right here, this is the correct way it should be said, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in the book and send it unto the seven churches which are in Asia, right? And then it goes on to the churches that, you know, it speaks about. So I just wanted to show that. Let me hold on, let me see. The Ahchwathyam said something. Let me see. That's probably for the best. We don't need to know everything. Not in these days. Con. Well, what book is that? Let me see. Even in the book of Enoch, it says that when it speaks about those books that when they were writing after he drunk the liquid, you know, and the Most High told him, hey, I think it was 200 books. He said, hey, these 40 or these 60, go ahead, give to everybody, right? But these other ones, keep. just for the wise, right? So you have the 66, which a lot of people have within their home. Let me stop sharing real quick. A lot of people have within their home the 66, and then get your foundation on that. When people get the foundation on that, most people don't move on from that because they don't even want to retain that, So most people don't even move on from that. But if you happen to move on through the spirit, through the Rakah of the Most High YAHAWAH, and you move on from that, then you can get your 1611. Now you know those 14 books. Then once you get the foundation of that, there's other books. There's other things that you can grasp onto, for those who want to, like I say, go into those things that I was just speaking about, the book of Barnabas, the book of Pilate, the book of Adam and Eve, but I'm not encouraging anybody to go off into those things, because if you don't have the right understanding or the right perspective, then you can get lost, like they say, in the sauce. And that's for everybody. I've read things and I'm like, wait a minute, where they say, oh, well, it's wrong to do this and it's wrong to that. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. In the Bible, it says this. So if I believe in what the word of the Most High says, I'm not going to just negate that whole book, because it may be some good information in there. But the things that I don't agree with, I'm going to let it be known, like, I don't agree with that. I don't subscribe to the whole book, but there are things in there that are good, knowledgeable, that you could use and to know, right? So yeah, all praises be to the Most High for that one. So Khan, it's not for everybody, but for those that are learned, that want to continue to learn through the Rakah, through the spirit, asking the Most High, he will continue to enlighten you. He will, just don't be stagnant. So, that's all it is to it. Khan, she said the Sabbath day. I believe that's what it was myself, when it said that Yahweh's day. I believe that it was the Sabbath day. But let me go real quick and show this before we get ready to wrap up, close it out. We was in Tobit. Let me just show this one real quick. We'll go back real quick to the book of Ecclesiastic Us, or better known as the book of Sirach or Sirach, chapter 3 real quick. Right. And I just want to know, I love all my Ahchyam and all my Ahchwathyam. This is not, when people watch this and they say, well, what makes him think that, I'm not saying nobody know or don't know, I'm just giving my opinion, because a lot of people do want to know, like, should we read it? I say read it, but have the understanding, pray before you read it, ask the Most High to open up your understanding so you can get that right understanding and breakdown of what's actually being delivered there in the word, because it goes into a lot. Anyway, this is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiastic Us, chapter 3, verse 21. It says, seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search out things that are above thy strength. And that's what people will be trying to do. That's why they believe that the angels lay down with the women and this and that, and but that would go contrary to what our 66 or the 80 books, like that would go contrary to every other thing written in the Bible. So I can't believe that. But it says in verse 22, but what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thy eyes the things that are in secret. And see, people want to know what's in secret. People want to know what's in secret. Everybody want to know what's in secret. That's the whole part about it being a secret, right? Everybody want to know. Hold on. Okay, verse 23. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than man understand. So you may have that understanding. Some Ahchyam do have the understanding. Some Ahchwathyam have the understanding, but then there's others who may not have that understanding. But you know, it may have been showed to them. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion had overthrown their judgment. Without eyes, they shall want light. So this is why they believe in the angels, and then the Nephilims, and then the angels lay down with the women, and blah, blah, blah. It says, without eyes, thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore, that thou hast not. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the world, you know, apologists, all kind of people with degrees and all of the theologians, historians, and, you know, they have professed things that are just not true, you know. And we know that through the scriptures. So that would contradict scripture, you know. Let me show one more before I get out of here real quick. Hopefully that, you know, let me see. It says, Khan, the water for the class. Khan, anytime, no problem. Hopefully I answered some questions. If not, you can always hit me on the side note and we can get into it, you know. But I love things like this. This is, you know, this is what we do it for. You know, it says, I never heard 10 Shemayams or 10 heavens. A sister was talking about the 10th heaven Khan. And that kind of goes into it on, like I say, in Enoch, where it talks about that, you know. But there is talk within the scriptures of a multitude, and I'm just speaking within the like 80, right, or the 1611, not going on any outside books right now. But there is talk, like I just showed about Paul and many other different places, that it speaks about different Shemayams, right? Also, when you go into other books, it lets us know the realms and how the Malaks, when they were created, the jobs, the tasks, and the realm that they were going to be dwelling in. So, yes, there are different realms. But like I say, is there just a particular number 10? Well, that's what's written there. But I can't say with the certainty, like, yeah, there's just 10, because there might be 11. There might be 12. I don't know. But I know that there's more than one. We know that with the certainty. So if somebody say, oh, it's just one heaven. No, that's not true. You know, now to say, is it just 10? I don't know. You know, that's what was written there. So that's all I could say. I was like, what? 10th heaven, God, yeah. Especially when somebody's never heard that before. But I don't know if you ever seen that in Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 12. Go back, take a look at that. You know, when Paul was talking about in the spirit, out of spirit, I don't know, but they caught up to the third heaven, you know, or the third Shemayim. So even he knows and is letting us know that there is multitudes, you know, not just one. So all praises be for that he even left that little insight for us, you know. So yeah, if I had never heard it too, I would say the same thing. You know, I would say the same thing. Let me I showed that real quick in Ecclesiasticus. Let me just go to Revelation real quick. I know I went to 1 and I showed that, but let me go to 5 real quick. Revelation 5, right? It says, I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written, within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. So talking about the Most High sitting on the throne. And I saw a strong Malak proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and loose the seals thereof. So we have a Malak speaking loud around the throne. And no man in the Shemayim, nor in the earth, nor under the earth, was able to open the book, neither look thereon. So no matter how many Shemayims it is, they looked at all of them, and nobody was in there, right? Notice it says, and no man in the Shemayim. So this earth that we live on, you know, is also a Shemayim. Because everybody's really waiting to go to heaven, and heaven is where? On earth. Matthew 5:5. Even though they teach you about a rapture that you're going somewhere, I don't know where they're going, because, you know, heaven is right here on earth. It's actually in Israel, you know, but that concept that they have in the clouds and angels floating and, you know, it's not a true concept. And no man in heaven, nor on earth, nor under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereupon. And I wept. This is John. We read in Revelation 1. And I cried much, because no man was found worthy to open or to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, oh, so there's elders there now. Zaquan. So you have elders there now. Where? In this Shemayim, in this realm, where the throne is. Cry not, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, have prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts. So now you got beasts there, 4 beasts. And in the midst of the elders, so you got elders, you got beasts, stood the Lamb as it was slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 rakahs of the Most High sent forth into all the earth. So what are these rakahs that are sent forth into the earth? Those are malaks. Sent forth into where? The earth. They here on earth. And it came, Salaki, and he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. Well, right there, that clears any of that Trinity stuff up, Well, no, they're 3 and they're 1 and they're this and they're that. Listen, it says, and he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that what? Sat on the throne. Clearly, that's 2 people. And when he had taken the book, right? So one got the book because he took it from the one that was sitting on the throne. It said the 4 beasts and the 4 and 24. Oh, wait a minute. And Salakia, the 4 beasts and 4 and 20 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayer of the saints. Now, where did we read that earlier? In the book of Tobit, chapter 12, when Raphael said what? That he was one of those 7 malaks that took the prayers of the saints and went in and out. Went in and out. So he got access to go all the way up to the top level where the beast is 4 beasts up there and it's 24 elders. The Lamb is up there. You think every malak is up there where the Lamb is, where the elders are, where the Most High? No. Definitely not. Here it is right here, verse 9. And they sung a new song saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us. Who is us? Do the malaks need to be redeemed? Huh? Do the malaks, the celestial beings, need to be redeemed? To the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred, tongue, and people and nation, and has made us unto the Most High, right here again, kings and what? Priests. Kings and priests. And here it is as I wrap up the last thing. And we shall reign on the earth. Why? Because heaven is on earth. Not the earth we live in now. That's why he's going to destroy everything by fire and purify it. So hopefully this was edifying in some type of way. Like I said, if you have any other questions, please just notify me, let it be known, and we'll go into some more. You know what? I had thought about it, and I'm going to start touching on some of these other books and kind of going into them and then, bringing out that light. Because, sometimes other Israelites, they'd be like, oh, I'm going to go into that because, it ain't. But you know what? How would the people ever know, as it says in Romans 10:14, how would the people ever know without a preacher? How would they know if they never heard? So it's important that we start going into these things. Why have the knowledge and not show it and use it? Just have the right discernment. That's all we could, do through the Spirit, through the Rakah. So all praises be to the Most High. Let me see what she said. I don't know where they're going either. That's a great question I always ask. Like, they waiting on the rapture. I'm like, man, where y'all going? Y'all y'all gonna get raptured, all right, because you know it's right here. As I just read in Revelation, you know, she says, Khan, us, hello, y'all, all praises. So with that being said, like I say, hopefully it was edifying. If there's anything else that I could kind of go into, please let me know. I definitely will. So, you know, once again, do I encourage you to just get your foundation on the 66 or the 80. And as you move on in time through the Rakah, through the Spirit, through the Most High, you know, go ahead, you know, but take your time, really understand what's being said, you know, and for those things that you feel that don't quite line up, you know, don't negate the whole book or throw the whole book away, but just take what you need. As it says, as I read earlier, 1 Thessalonians 5, prove all things, take hold of what's good, you know, receive what's good. Because it may be some things hidden in there. Just because there's some dirt on the top don't mean it ain't nothing good in the middle or at the bottom. You know, sometimes people will put dirt on the top just to discourage you, and you look right over it. You know, you say, oh, that ain't nothing. But all the time, you know, it was some gold at the bottom. You just didn't take the time to look. So, you know, all praises be to the Father Yahweh for this lesson, for those tune in, and hopefully it's edifying. We give praises to him, the Kodash one, the only one, and his only begotten son, Hamashiach Yahawah, our brother, our friend, our savior. Man, all praises be the water, the water, the water. May you have a blessed rest of your day. And Kwam Yasharala, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm going to do another live tomorrow at 10. We're going to do another one on the Shabbat. We're going to start coming. We're going to start delivering these things. So all praises be, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. my time. Kwam Yasharala. Oh, she put something else. Let me get that before we get out of here. That was a great lunch break. The water, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, Barakatam.